On our 10th anniversary, my world shattered. My girlfriend, the woman I'd loved for a decade, got down on one knee, not for me, but for her first love. I stared at the message on my phone, my chest hollow, refusing to believe what I was reading. I needed to hear it from her lips. But fate has a cruel way of twisting the knife. Before I could confront her, I overheard her talking to a friend. Ethan's been chasing you for 10 years. And now you're suddenly proposing to someone else? Aren't you afraid of breaking him? Her friend asked. Scarlet laughed, careless and cold. If I don't make a move now, Ethan's family will marry him off. I can't miss my chance. Besides, he's a pushover. If it weren't for his family's resources, I never would have stayed this long. He'll forgive me the moment I toss him a little affection. Her words cut deeper than any blade. 10 years, gone in a single sentence. I had asked her to marry me 99 times, only to be turned down each time. And now, on our anniversary, she was giving her yes to someone else. I stumbled away, empty, the weight of betrayal pressing on my chest. In the back of a taxi, I dialed my father. My voice shook, but my decision was firm. Dad, I'm ready to accept a marriage arrangement with the Davis family's daughter. Silence hung on the line before my father finally spoke, his sigh heavy with sorrow. Son, you've carried too much pain. I won't ask why you've changed your mind. Just know I'm here. That broke me in a way Scarlet's betrayal hadn't. My chest tightened, my eyes blurred. I forced myself to sound calm, though every word trembled. It's okay, Dad. We all have to grow up somehow. Everyone believed Scarlet and I would end up together. 10 years of love, 10 years of loyalty, and in the end it was nothing but a cruel joke. The night before, I had been waiting in a restaurant with a ring in my pocket, ready to propose for the 100th time. She never showed. Instead, I got a photo of her in another man's arms, kissing him like I never existed. The man sent me a video. 2. Scarlet, in a wedding dress, tears in her eyes, asking him to marry her. The way she looked at him, I knew it was real. And me? I was just a fool. The stepping stone. The man she clung to only until her career was secure. When I finally dragged myself home, ready to pack and leave it all behind, there she was, Scarlet, sitting pretty on the sofa, a gift bag in hand, as if nothing had happened. Husband, you're back, she cooed, her tone sweet, almost rehearsed. I'm sorry about yesterday. I was just so busy. Look, I even got you something. The faint smell of tobacco clung to her clothes. She'd once forced me to quit smoking because she hated it. But now, for another man, she'd let her standards slip. Once upon a time, that act, her pout, her apology, would have melted me. But not tonight. Tonight, I felt nothing. When she reached to hug me, I gently pushed her away and walked to the bedroom, pulling out my suitcase. Her voice cracked when she saw it. Are you serious right now? I already apologized. What more do you want? She barged in, panic flickering in her eyes. Why are you packing? Where are you going? I kept folding clothes, calm, detached, my silence louder than words. Husband, please, she said, slamming the suitcase shut and locking her eyes onto mine. Searching for a man who used to forgive her so easily, but all she saw was emptiness. It's nothing, I muttered, just tidying up. She studied me, suspicious, then relaxed, her relief almost laughable. Good. You scared me for a second. She tried to smile. Let the staff do it next time. Come on, I'll book us a fancy dinner. We can still celebrate our anniversary. But as she spoke, her voice echoed in my head. The one from earlier, the one that had shattered me. If it weren't for his family's resources, I never would have stayed with him. And for the first time in 10 years, I looked at Scarlet and saw her clearly. Not as the woman I loved, but as a stranger who had been lying beside me all along. She left without waiting for me to answer, her footsteps heavy with fear, as if she knew I was starting to piece things together. I stood there, cold and silent, but somewhere deep inside, a foolish part of me still clung to hope that maybe, just maybe, I was wrong. I set down the half-packed suitcase, ready to convince myself of that lie. When she rushed toward the door, her face flushed with panic. Where are you going? I asked, Something urgent came up at the office, she muttered, not even turning back before slamming the door behind her. Her phone lay forgotten on the table. Out of instinct, I picked it up, and there it was, Ethan's message. I'm not feeling well. Come keep me company. In that moment, everything clicked. The nervous glances, the sudden excuses, the way her heart seemed to beat for someone else. I let out a hollow laugh, the kind that hurts more than it heals, and finally let go of the last shred of hope I'd been holding. I zipped up the suitcase, my hand steadier than I expected, and walked out of the home I'd built with her, the place that held 10 years of memories. You see, I was born into the Smith family, their only son, their heir, the boy they poured everything into. And yet, despite the privilege, I had lived a lonely childhood, my world limited to the walls of our estate. That was where Scarlet first appeared, back when she was just a maid's daughter. I still remember the day I tried to join the kids outside, desperate to belong, only to be mocked for my frail body. They called me names, shoved me, tried to strip me of dignity. But then she came running, this wild little girl wielding a broom like a sword, scattering them with the ferocity of a lion cub. Stick with me, she grinned. I'll protect you. And from that day on, she did. She was loud where I was quiet, fearless where I was fragile. She'd sneak me snacks, sit by my side, make my lonely world just a little brighter. Eventually, I begged my father to get us into the same class. From elementary school to high school, we were inseparable. She'd pout if other girls confessed to me, furious in a way that only made me smile. She never hid how she felt, and slowly, I stopped hiding mine too. I thought we'd walk together all the way to the altar. But then came Ethan Miller, a transfer student, poor, cheerful, hard-working, everything she admired. At first, I didn't mind him, until I realized her laughter was brighter when he was around, her stories filled with his name. And suddenly, I was the outsider in my own relationship. I kept faith, believing she'd remember who had always been there. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. One day, Ethan staged an accident, falling, crying out in pain, just as Scarlet walked in. She didn't even question it. She rushed him, called me by my full name for the first time, and accused me of looking down on him. Because I was rich. In her eyes, I wasn't a protector anymore. I was the villain. And soon after, she left my family home without looking back. Years passed. I buried my hurt in books, pushed myself forward, made it into a top university. And there she was again. Scarlet. She said she'd chosen the same school on purpose, that she still loved me, that she wanted me back. And me? I was still haunted by the ghost of the girl who once saved me with a broomstick. So I said yes. We became the couple everyone envied. I believed, foolishly, that we'd made it, that this was a happy ending we deserved. I gave her everything, my savings, my family's resources, my unwavering faith, just so she could chase her dream. Her company soared. But dreams can be dangerous, because the moment Ethan returned, so did her heart. And no matter how much I wanted to blind myself, I couldn't ignore what I saw and what I heard. Scarlet never loved me. Not really. And in that realization, I finally understood. It was time to let her go. My father had warned me countless times. Scarlet is manipulative. Stay away from her. But back then, I was too far gone, too blinded by what I thought was love. I couldn't hear reason. When I finally pushed open the door to my family home, the heaviness in my chest began to lift. My father's face softened with relief. My aunt smiled warmly, and then Vivian, my cousin, rushed into my arms, her laughter bubbling like we were kids again. You've grown so much, I said, patting her head. She swatted me away with a playful glare. What? Got dumped, and now you're here looking for comfort? I told you not to trust her, but you wouldn't listen. Guess you finally learned. Before I could respond, my aunt pulled her ear in scolding. Vivian, if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. Ow, ow. That hurts, she whined, but the scene was so familiar, so warm, that for the first time in weeks, I felt myself breathe again. At dinner, my father slid food into my bowl the way he always had when I was a boy. You'll be marrying into the Davis family soon. We've got a joint project with them. I want you to take charge of it. Go to the office tomorrow, learn the ropes. I nodded. Okay. Beside me, Vivian piled food onto my plate, rolling her eyes. Eat more, cousin. You're built like a weakling. The next morning at the office, I was reviewing the Davis Group project when I overheard Ray's voices outside. This partnership makes no sense. If we keep this up, we'll be running a charity. Just because Scarlet's close to the young master doesn't mean we should keep bleeding money. The words pierced through me. I stepped out to confront them, only to find the truth staring back at me in the files. My father had been secretly propping up Scarlet's company all along just to help me. My throat tightened. He'd been protecting me while I was too blind to see her for what she was. I dropped the file into the trash. From today, all cooperation with Scarlet's company ends. We're a business, not a charity. Put the company's interests first. The project manager's eyes lit up with relief, and he rushed off to execute my orders. After a long day, I decided to grab dinner at a new barbecue place downstairs. But the moment I walked in, my stomach sank. Scarlet, Ethan, of course. I muttered a curse under my breath and turned to leave, but Ethan's voice rang out behind me. Sincere? What a coincidence. Come eat with us. Scarlet froze at the sight of me. She quickly let go of Ethan's hand. Her voice flustered. Don't misunderstand. Ethan just got out of the hospital. He wanted something good to eat, so I brought him here. Ethan, grinning ear to ear, didn't wait for my answer. He dragged over a chair. Sit. The more the merrier. I forced a smile and sat down. Scarlet reached over, carefully mixing a dipping sauce for me. But when I looked down, it was piled with chili peppers. I frowned. She knew I couldn't handle spice. But Ethan beamed. You're the best, Scarlet. You remembered I love spicy food. He pinched her nose playfully. She blushed, leaning into his affection like it was second nature. The tenderness she showed him, something I had never once felt from her, made my stomach twist. When Scarlet excused herself in the restroom, Ethan leaned closer, his voice dripping arrogance. See that? One snap of my fingers and Scarlet comes running. Do yourself a favor and give up. I laughed bitterly. What's so impressive about being the other man? And saying it out loud, you're not embarrassed. His smirk faltered, but before he could reply, chaos erupted behind us. Two drunk men started brawling, and one of them hurled a flaming charcoal grill across the room. Instinct told me to dodge, but Ethan grabbed my arm, holding me in place. The grill smashed into me, searing pain ripping through my body as the coals burned my skin. The restaurant emptied in seconds, everyone fleeing, but I somehow managed to pull out my phone and call for help. Scarlet came rushing back, her face pale. Are you okay? Is it serious? For one fleeting heartbeat, my chest stirred with warmth. Maybe she's still, but then she ran straight past me, straight to Ethan. She held his hand, fretting over the tiny burn on his skin as if it were life-threatening. Her eyes filled with worry for him, not me, and I laughed, a hollow, broken laugh at my own stupidity. Even after everything, a part of me still hoped. I staggered to my feet, my body trembling, and crashed into a table. The noise made Scarlet glance my way. For a moment, guilt flickered across her face. Are you okay? She asked awkwardly. Then, almost immediately, she rushed to explain. I was just so worried about Ethan, I didn't notice you. That's all. I smiled faintly, bitterly, because in that moment, I finally understood. The girl who once swore she'd love me forever, the one who promised she'd protect me for life, was long gone. The memory still burned in my mind. Scarlet must have noticed my silence, because she quickly shifted the topic, her voice soft with concern. Why did you rush home without saying anything? Are you okay? Do you need the hospital? I forced a small shake of my head. No, it's fine. Someone else's injury is worse than mine. The sound of sirens outside pulled me back into reality. My body ached, but I pushed myself up and walked out. It was only a burn, painful, yes, but nothing life-threatening. After getting it treated, I called my father. I told him I'd be staying away for a while. not wanting him to stew in anger or worry on my behalf. Once I could move without wincing, I went straight to the Davis group. The project couldn't wait. The receptionist barely needed an introduction. She seemed to know exactly who I was. "Please wait here, Mr. Smith. Miss Davis is finishing up a meeting." I sat, cup of tea in hand, flipping to the contract when a cool, crystal-clear voice cut through the air. "So, you're the man I'm supposed to marry?" I looked up and froze. She was beautiful. Not the soft kind of beauty that warms you, but the kind that chills you to the bone. Victoria Davis. Cold, composed, untouchable. I handed her the contract. "Take a look. Tell me if anything needs changing." But to my surprise, she didn't even glance at the pages. She signed it in one swift motion. "Aren't you going to read it?" I asked. Her gaze stayed steady, voice flat as glass. "There's no need. We'll be family soon. We rise and fall together. I trust you won't do anything to hurt us both." I couldn't argue with that. Within minutes, she'd added me on her phone, saying she was free that afternoon. "Let's get the marriage license." And just like that, hours later, I found myself outside City Hall, a red marriage certificate in my hand. Something I had dreamed of my whole life, marriage, yet standing there it felt surreal. It wasn't Scarlet by my side. It was Victoria. Trying to anchor myself in the moment, I asked, "Do you want to try wedding dresses?" For the first time, something shifted in her. A small smile cracked her icy facade. "Okay." But fate has a cruel sense of humor, because when we walked into the boutique, there they were, Scarlet and Ethan, tangled together in a public kiss, so lost in each other that even the sales associates looked away awkwardly. I cleared my throat, loud enough to cut through the moment. Ethan smirked, wrapping his arm tighter around Scarlet's waist. "Sorry, man. Scarlet and I are together now. My family was pushing me into an arranged marriage, but she couldn't stand to lose me. So she stepped up. I'm sure you understand." I didn't reply. I simply reached for Victoria's hand and turned toward the dresses. But Scarlet couldn't hold back. She stormed over, finger jabbing at Victoria. "Who is this woman? Did you hire some actress just to spite me?" I slapped her hand away, my voice sharper than ice. "Who she is has nothing to do with you. Congratulations on your wedding, but don't invite me. I won't come." Victoria, cool as ever, handed me a suit. "I think this will look good on you. Try it." But Ethan's voice cut in, dripping with mock humility. "Scarlet, I really like that suit too. But hey, I come from nothing. I don't have the right to compete with someone like him." Scarlet turned to him with adoring eyes. "Don't say that. You're worthy of everything. If you want it, I'll get it for you." I scoffed, shaking my head. A perfect match. But Scarlet wasn't done. She grabbed my arm, her voice sharp with accusation. "Didn't you hear Ethan? He likes the suit. Just give it to him. Your family is rich. You can get another one custom made." I pulled free, anger finally breaking through. "Scarlet, don't you dare forget 10 years of my trust, my support, my belief in you. You built yourself on my shoulders. But I am not your dog. You don't get to trample me." For the first time, she was stunned into silence. Ethan tugged her sleeve nervously. "Let it go. Since he picked it first, we shouldn't take it." But Scarlet didn't even hear him. Her eyes stayed locked on me, filled with disappointment. "You're being unreasonable. Sincere. You're the Smith family's young master. You could have anything. But Ethan, he only has me." I raised an eyebrow, calm but cold. "Why are you telling me this? What does that have to do with me?" And with that, I turned away, walking toward Victoria. "My wife needs me. I don't have time for you." When Victoria stepped out of the fitting room, the world seemed to pause. She was breathtaking, like an ice queen untouched by reality. I stood beside her, staring at our reflection. Once, I had dreamed of this moment, me, at a wedding, standing beside my bride. But the woman beside me wasn't Scarlet. It was Victoria. She looked at me, for once unsure. "Do I look good?" I pulled her close, my voice soft but steady. "You're beautiful." And for the first time, her icy armor seemed to melt. She gave us one last complicated look before walking away, but I didn't care anymore. In the days that followed, I noticed something about Victoria, something that surprised me. For someone so famously cold, she was taking our wedding preparations to heart. Every choice she made, she asked for my opinion. Every detail, from the venue to the smallest arrangements, reflected my preferences, not hers. And then, before I knew it, the day arrived. Standing in front of the mirror, tuxedo perfectly fitted, I felt a wave of nerves I hadn't expected. Everything had moved so quickly, so unreal, like I'd been swept into a dream I hadn't quite woken from. Then I saw her. Victoria walked toward me, step by step, and for the first time since I'd met her, her icy mask cracked. A smile spread across her face, gentle, warm, like spring sunlight breaking through the frost. It made my heart stumble in my chest. I reached out and took her hand. Her fingers trembled, just barely, betraying the nerves hidden beneath her CO composure. "Don't be afraid," I whispered. "I'm here." She gave me a grateful smile, and in that moment, the distance between us began to melt. The ceremony unfolded like something out of a dream. We bowed to our parents. Victoria, usually so detached, addressed mine as Mom and Dad with earnest sincerity. My father's grin stretched ear to ear as he handed her a wedding gift big enough to make the guests gasp. And then came the teasing, the laughter, the applause, as I lifted Victoria into my arms and carried her into the waiting car. For the first time all day, I could finally breathe. Watching the city blur past the window, my thoughts wandered. Maybe it was fate, maybe spite. But somehow, Scarlet's wedding had been booked at the same hotel on the same day. And I couldn't help but wonder how she'd react when she found out. Across town, in another car, Scarlet was restless. She kept checking her phone, her brow furrowed, as if waiting for news she couldn't afford to miss. Ethan sat beside her, anxiety etched into his face. "Listen," he warned his groomsmen. "Keep an eye out. Make sure that guy Sincere doesn't show up and ruin anything." Scarlet stayed silent, but her lips pressed together, her eyes holding the tiniest flicker of something dangerous. But then one of the groomsmen laughed awkwardly. "What are you worried about? He's not here, he's next door, having his own wedding." To Victoria Davis. The color drained from Scarlet's face. "Who?" she demanded, grabbing the man's arm. "Victoria Davis, the Davis Group's president. They booked months ago." Scarlet's world shattered in that instant. She froze, her pupils tightening. "Impossible," she whispered to herself. "Impossible. He said he couldn't live without me." Her words tumbled out in a spiral of denial, as if obsession had locked her in a cage she couldn't escape. And then, chaos. At my wedding, the hall doors burst open. Scarlet stormed in like a woman possessed. Her voice shook with rage and despair as she pointed at me. "Sincere, how could you marry another woman? Didn't you promise to love me for life?" Once upon a time, those words would have destroyed me. Now, they barely stirred the surface. I looked at her, calm, steady. "Scarlet, listen to yourself. You're marrying another man, and still you expect me to wait for you? Who do you think you are?" The room held its breath. Her desperation spilled over into hysteria. "I was just helping him. I was always going to come back to you. Why can you just wait?" I shook my head, a bitter smile pulling at my lips. "You can't have it both ways, Scarlet. You're not some prize the world owes me forever. Love doesn't work like that. Now leave, before you make this uglier than it already is." Security pulled her away, her cries echoing through the hall. She looked at me one last time, her eyes filled with resentment, with heartbreak. The woman I had once cherished now stood before me as a stranger, unhinged, undone. Victoria's hand slipped into mine. She didn't ask. She didn't pry. Her quiet strength spoke louder than words. And so, in front of everyone, I slid the diamond ring I had designed just for her onto her finger. The tears glistening in her eyes weren't cold, but warm, proof that she felt this too. As I spoke my vows, I felt something break loose inside me. A final farewell to the boy I had once been, the one who waited, who hoped, who bled for a love that never deserved him. That boy was gone. This time, I chose differently. This time, I was walking forward, not back. Later, when the guests had gone and the lights had dimmed, Victoria lay beside me in the quiet. The silence was heavy, but not suffocating, just uncertain. Finally, she turned, her voice soft, unsure. "You're not going to touch me?" I sighed, looking at her through the dim light. "We don't really know each other yet. I don't want to force you." For a moment, she just stared at me, as if seeing something she hadn't expected. Then, without a word, she wrapped her arms around me. "Thank you." And in that fragile moment, something shifted between us. Something real. That night, I lay staring at the ceiling, my thoughts tangled and heavy. The next morning, the smell of something warm pulled me out of bed. I followed it to the kitchen and froze for a second. Victoria was there, hair loose, apron tied, moving gracefully between pots and pans. Gone was the icy CO everyone feared. In her place stood a woman whose presence carried warmth. She looked up at me, smiled softly, and held out a steaming bowl of porridge. "You're awake." I blinked, caught off guard. "I didn't know you could cook." She shrugged lightly, her smile widening. "I like making my own food." I chuckled. "Me too." For a moment, we just looked at each other and laughed, and the room felt alive with something fragile, something real. After breakfast, I headed to the office, but the news stopped me cold. Scarlet's wedding had collapsed. She had fled, leaving Ethan humiliated before an entire crowd. Their marriage, like their love, had crumbled into ashes. And yet, she didn't disappear. In the weeks that followed, I kept seeing her, at a distance, watching me with hollow eyes. At first, I ignored her. But one day in the park, she was waiting. She looked thinner, broken, her once proud eyes filled with shadows. I walked straight up to her. "What do you want, Scarlet?" It took her a long moment before she whispered, her voice cracking, "I just wanted to see if you were okay." A bitter laugh escaped me. "I'm doing better than ever. Better than the last 10 years I wasted on you." Her face twisted with sorrow. "I didn't mean it that way. I was wrong. Sincere. Please, come back to me. I can't live without you." She reached for me, but I stepped back. My eyes stayed cold. "You were ready to marry Ethan. Why cling to me now?" Her voice broke. "Because when I saw you with someone else, that's when I realized it was always you." I shook my head slowly. "No, Scarlet, you don't love me. You just can't stand losing me. From the start, I gave you everything, and you only used me. That chapter's closed. Let's part ways with whatever dignity is left." I turned and walked away. Behind me, she collapsed to the ground, sobs tearing through the quiet. When I came home that night, Victoria was waiting with dinner already set. I slipped my arms around her waist and whispered, "Thank you for everything, wife." She tilted her head up and brushed a kiss against my cheek. "It's nothing," but it wasn't nothing. It was everything. For the first time, I felt peace. I felt love. 6 months passed like a heartbeat. My bond with Victoria deepened, our lives weaving together seamlessly. My father would occasionally ask, half joking, half hopeful, "So, when can I expect a grandchild?" I was too shy to answer, but Victoria surprised me first. One night, she stepped out of the bathroom in a silk nightgown, her usual reserve stripped away. She saw my stunned expression and smiled. "We've been married half a year, and you haven't touched me. I was starting to think you had a problem." Her arms circled my neck, and I finally understood. I pulled her close, my voice low. "Let me show you I don't." Our relationship blossomed, growing sweeter by the day. But happiness never lasts unchallenged. One morning, driving to work, my phone rang. An unknown number. I picked it up, and Ethan's voice, dark and broken, crawled through the line. "I have your wife. Bring me $30 million if you want her back. Call the cops, and you'll be collecting her body instead." The world spun. My foot slammed the brakes, tires screeching on asphalt. Before I could say a word, the line went dead. A location flashed onto my screen. An abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. I didn't think. I just drove. On the 3rd floor, I found her, Victoria, tied to a chair, and behind her stood Ethan. His face was pale, his body worn thin, but his eyes burned with wild desperation. "Where's the money?" he snarled. I kept my voice calm. "Do you have any idea what you're doing? This is a crime." He laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "Scarlet's company is gone. She's nothing now. I've lost everything. What do I have left to fear?" His hand pressed a knife against Victoria's throat, his voice trembling with madness. "Give me the money or bury your wife." My chest tightened, but I forced myself to stay steady. "All right, I'll transfer it now. Just stay calm." But Ethan wasn't done. He yanked Victoria to her feet, dragging her toward the rooftop. His eyes were glassy, his words sharp. "No tricks. You make the transfer, or I swear I'll let her fall." I called my father, my voice steady till my hands were shaking, and told him everything. He didn't waste a second. Told me to keep Ethan calm while he handled the money, and quietly called the police. Step by step, I climbed the stairs to the roof, where Ethan stood with Victoria at knife point. The air was heavy, every second stretching like an hour. Then his phone buzzed. A manic grin spread across his face. "The money's here. Let her go," I said, hope clinging to my voice. My father's text came through at the same time, confirmation, but Ethan wasn't done. He bent down, tossed a knife at my feet, and sneered. "Stab yourself. Then she walks free. Otherwise, the cops become my problem." Victoria's eyes widened in horror, her head shaking furiously, pleading with me not to, but love doesn't hesitate. I picked up the blade and drove it into my stomach. Pain ripped through me, hot and blinding, but I stayed on my feet. "Now let her go," I gasped. Ethan's laughter cut through the night, cruel and cold. "Sincere, you really are a fool. Why were you given everything while I was left with nothing? Why do people love you when all they do is despise me? You're not walking out of here alive." He started toward me, madness in his eyes, but then a crack split the air. A spray of red bloomed on his chest. Ethan's grin vanished as he crumpled to the ground. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder, closing in, and just before darkness swallowed me, I knew it was over. When I woke, Ethan was gone. The knife hadn't pierced anything vital, and with time I healed. But Victoria, she carried a secret of her own. She was pregnant. After everything we'd been through, she never left my side. The icy armor she once wore was gone, replaced by warmth, devotion, love. One night, sitting by her hospital bed, I brushed a strand of hair from her cheek and teased. "You've had a crush on me for a long time, haven't you?" She blushed, laughed it off, but I already knew the truth. I'd found her old diary, the one filled with confessions, hopes, and a girl's quiet longing. I never told her. I just pulled her close, holding her as if to make up for all the years we'd lost. Life isn't perfect, but mine, ours, is beautiful. And if I could go back, I'd only wish for one thing: to find her sooner.